that's a win. And then they get a block out of it. And then not only do they get the block, but they're able to convert that block into a score.
The more passes you have to complete, the greater the likelihood of a turnover. And a nice job by the Otso defense. They settled into their man assignments, their person-to-person assignments as the play developed, but earlier on they did a great job poaching the lanes and stifling those handlers, making them play catch to gain any kind of yardage. No big gainers in the first few throws.
Absolutely, and that kind of pressure adds up as we see the pole go up. We'll see if Otso comes down in that junk set again.
Relámpagos centers to Brenner.
Looks like they're in person match here.
Brenner, an accomplished player in his own right. He's won a couple college national championships with the University of Pittsburgh and Sabanur. He finds Anderson underneath. Uncorks a huge hammer to his teammate Kevin Johnson on the goal line, and that's an easy finish into the end zone.
Taylor with the score there. Only a couple points in and already a couple of hammers is what I'm seeing.
Unconventional offensive point there for Relámpagos, but it appears they've got the athletes and the confidence to make those plays in tight situations. Great work there by Johnson, bodying out his defender, Santeri Salo. And an easy finish for Jordan Taylor.
What I really like here about Taylor is you'll see this play again. So he might have a shot at going up, but he actually pulls up once he sees his own player there, and he is establishing the next position that he wants to take to get the next pass. So it's not about receiving, that first hammer. It's about where can I go next where I can be a threat.
And that's wonderful field awareness. And so often when you see that second receiver attacking that space, you also see him pulling his defender into that space, making it so much more difficult for the original receiver to make the catch. So another look at the Otso offense here. Some poaches from Relámpagos to start this deep point. Some good patience and swinging here. Jaakko Juntu makes a tough grab, surveying his options. Resets to Nini, around to Koistinen. Juntu once again. He's going to shoot deep. Erkka Nini is all alone once again. Tremendous patience by this Otso offense. We had some stifling lane poaches from Relámpagos, but the young players on the Finnish offensive crew navigating the challenges until the right shot opened up.
Yeah, and you'll notice that I think that the disc moved laterally across the field. Not many players attacking in the middle, and they feel like they were really just waiting for that away pass. They're waiting for the moment where they could unleash an away pass for completion.
Pool B action. Oh.
Catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.
We've got first day pool play action at the World Ultimate Club Championships. Otso from Finland, after an early break, is recovering, and they're leading Relámpagos from the Dominican Republic 3-2. I'm Ian Toner alongside China Titcomb. China, you've played one game today on these fields in these weather conditions. Talk to us about what you're feeling out there as a player.
I will say that it's been pretty nice to have this overcast weather. There was a little bit of a sprinkle early as well, so that was very nice. These fields, they're super lush, don't get me wrong. They're also really hard.
And a deep shot to Zewo. That one will be well defended by Romer Brito.
Some discussion as to whether the Relámpagos player was in bounds or out of bounds. If his toes were if he had his toes down inside the field of play, then he would be in bounds. We'll see it again here.
And it does look like Brito makes that play from inbounds. You see the players discussing with the game advisors. Those of you familiar with USA Ultimate competition, we do have some distinctions between game advisor responsibilities and traditional observer responsibilities. Game advisors do not make active calls. They are there to consult with players on the field with the rules. China, any consultations with game advisors in your first round game this morning?
We didn't have game advisors this morning, but I will say that they are just a helpful third party, especially as you have players from all over the world that maybe have different understandings of how the game is played and what spirit of the game looks like. It's so helpful just to have a reminder and someone that can clarify any kind of rules that you need clarified. Looks like that disc is going back. Either the two players did not agree or the game advisor was not able to provide any insight, so Relámpagos back with the disc in hand.
Shu with a cross-field shot. Johnson's going to try and toe the line, but that disc will trail out of bounds. Elon Jaimo, the man on the mark to make the block.
Running out of space a little bit there with that deep shot, trying to go across field, but not enough real estate in that back corner. His teammate was doing everything possible to keep it in bounds, but it was just too far out of reach.
And those cross-field shots that have to go over the stack, over so much traffic, require a certain amount of precision that not a lot of throwers have. Always a gamble when you pull the trigger on that one. Zewo with the disc on his own goal line. I think there's some miscommunication about the stall count or contact.
Stifling defense from this Relámpagos team. This is their offensive unit playing defense right now, and they're putting a lot of pressure on Otso.
Jarno Zewo, he's a 27-year-old data scientist living in Helsinki. He's played all 6 years of his ultimate career with Otso. As the disc gets tapped back in. A risky reset there. Järvi makes the grab. And a miscommunication or poor execution on that underneath grab goes off Jesse Sastamoinen's fingers. Joe Anderson's going to pick up just outside the goal line. Anderson resets to Shu. Otso defending that front corner quite well. Around to Brenner. And a nice easy flip to the front cone. Joe smash Anderson. Preserves the hold for the Relámpagos O-line.
Relámpagos, I really liked their offensive end zone movement here. You'll see Shu is going to find Anderson in the middle, and then they're going to swing it all the way wide. And then as soon as Anderson releases that disc, he's actually going to run, follow the play, and Brenner has a really easy backhand pass right into the end zone. Really nice offensive movement. I think if Relámpagos can keep working like this, stretching out the Otso defense, lots of good things are going to happen for them for the rest of this game.
Yeah, that's textbook dump swing offense, changing the point of attack, forcing the defense to reposition, whether that's the man on the mark or the man downfield. And we'll get another look at the Relámpagos D-line here. Remember, the only break we've seen from them so far was the first point of the game, a centering throw miscue that they capitalized on right away. As this pull is going to sail out of bounds.
Otso looks like they will be bringing it up to the brick mark, which is about 15 yards in front of that end zone line. It is marked by the X that you can see on the field.
Kallio, the center handler, he's shooting deep. Well defended by Michael Campanella.
Yes.
Erkka Niini, who'd struck deep multiple times earlier in this game.
It's clear to me that Otso is looking at Niini as a very desired deep threat. It's not the first time that they've isolated him deep.
Ayadi resets. And there's a deep shot off the fingertips of Jaakko Juntu. And Campanella completes the bookends. And the Dominicans have their second break of the game.
Yeah, it looked a little bit dicey there for a second. The offensive unit struggling to move the disc downfield, and all of a sudden that big deep shot that gets deflected, however it does get caught, opens up a lot of real estate for the offensive unit.
And that's a tough defensive break there for the Otso O-line defense as we get another look at the initial deep shot to Erkka Niini.
Really great defensive move there.
And Juntu gets his hands on the disc. Can't quite complete the block, and Campanella finishes out the bookends.
Great shot by Nicholas Alexander there. Be interesting to see what kind of defensive set they come down in now. They've had some good success in person defense. We'll see. This pull looks like it will be staying in bounds. Otso offense.
That's James Sheridan on the pull, another one of the American pickups currently living in the Bay Area. The Otso offense isolating Niini once again, but tremendous help off the top from the Relámpagos defenders as Juntu shoots deep. Tommy Sandberg is there to make the play. And it's no secret that Otso loves its deep game.
That's exactly what I was about to say. If you're Relámpagos right now, you're going to be adjusting. You've now gotten beat a couple times in that deep space, and you know that they want to throw there. Otso is doing a good job at choosing which throws to throw. We saw earlier in this possession, they held back on a deep shot to Niini, but then they just moved the ball a little bit and then found one that they did like. So I wonder, if I was Relámpagos, I would try to maybe get some help defense, somebody hanging out in that deep space. I would maybe adjust the mark. That could be another tool that the defensive unit could use. Could play a zone D, so defenders covering a space, not necessarily a person. There are a lot of different options here, but they will be adjusting. This is a team that has won multiple national championships down in the Dominican Republic. They'll make those adjustments.
Another look here at the Relámpagos offensive unit. We've seen a couple players pulling double duty, crossing over between offensive and defensive lines. Scott Shue being one of them. Stern's going to field this pull and center up to Michael Brenner. That's Brown underneath. Brown with an inside shot to Shue. Shue toes the line, centers to Stern. Nice job by the Relámpagos offense, using the width of the field, as we talked about on that last point, changing the point of attack. Anderson to Shue. Shue with an easy inside shot to Brenner. That throw that Shue completed there is becoming more and more in vogue in elite ultimate circles. It's an outside-in throw, and normally outside-in throws go to the outside shoulder, but it's bending towards that inside-out lane. And you traditionally see a more inverted release going to that lane, but the best throwers are able to put the appropriate angle on that and attack that traditionally inside-out space.
We'll get another chance to see this here. You'll see he opens up that space by faking on the backhand side as he finds Brenner with that tricky throw. Nothing too special there, I would say, from the Relámpagos offense. Patient offense, never forcing anything too risky. I mean, Shu did have to make a bit of a play, I would say, on a high disc. But otherwise, working those unders and grinding, moving the disc laterally. Some good hard work.
So Relámpagos up a break, 5-4 here in the first half. This is the first pool play game for both of these teams here at the World Ultimate Club Championships. Sandberg in isolation. Continuation to Vannanen. Off the line to Juntu. And Juntu with his third assist of this first half. To the captain and veteran Ilkka Vadaranta.
Whenever Juntu has the disc in hands, I know that he's eyeing the end zone. He's an incredible thrower. We've seen him throw deep. We've seen him throw underneath. And if I'm a defender now on Relámpagos, whenever Juntu has the disc in hand, I'm playing tight to my person. I know that he's looking to get the disc in the end zone.
Well, Juntu's got an incredible story. He's a rising star in the European scene. He actually spent time trying out for multiple Boston club teams over a 2-week period earlier this season. He's got national team experience, having played on the Finnish Open team in 2016. And off the field, he's actually an Army member who's had to get special dispensation and permission to go on vacation from his military service to compete here at the World Championships.
Wow, that's dedication to the sport of ultimate, ladies and gentlemen.
Relámpagos O-line back out there. Brenner finds Shu contested underneath. Up to Anderson. Anderson with an outside-in flick to the end zone. Off the fingertips of a laying out Ryan Brown. High percentage look there from Anderson. That's to the break side. That's on the shoulder that the Otso defender is not going to have a chance at playing.
And Brown had a little bit of space, I would say. He had some steps on his defender.
And as we saw that replay, you saw Brown looking over his left shoulder. And I think that may have cost him a step because he wasn't aware that the throw was coming up over his right shoulder on the break side.
Otso with an opportunity here to break back.
So far, Otso 25% on break opportunities, 1 for 4. A deep shot here is going to blade into the turf.
A little bit of a rushed throw. You see the Otso player looking at his hands, trying to wipe off the sweat. It's getting pretty hot as the day progresses.
And another factor not to be overlooked is the humidity more than anything else. We're just sitting here up in the booth and we're getting sweaty, not even exerting any physical activity.
Exactly.
The Relámpagos O-line gets a chance to redeem itself. And Anderson with a speculative look over the stack.
Great heads-up play by the Otso defender. Didn't get an opportunity to see who that was, but just getting a hand on it, incredibly important.
Panasalo. Pekka Kiinanen back to Panasalo.
Seemingly every other for Panasalo here.
Great patience to work that disc off the line. Kokonen's throw will be a turnover. And Stern's going to pick up once again for the Relámpagos offense. Gina, these multi-turnover points, talk about the mentality when you're a defender out there and you've seen your team turn the disc over multiple times.
You know, when I see my team turn over the disc multiple times, I think that I just think about how much trust I have in my teammates to grind out a long possession, a long point. I also recognize that it takes that extra mental energy, that extra focus to, cut at 100%, set up a cut at 100%, but also to clear at 100% so that you make space for other people. As we see Otso coming out of that stoppage play on offense.
Greenberg with the disc now. He resets once again to Kinnunen. A great inside shot. And Otso converts the break. Multiple chances that point. The throw that really broke it open there was that inside flick from Tatu Kokkonen.
Really nice throw there. Such a precise window that he just hit. We'll see it right there. And then it's interesting, the Otso player had to go high because the defender took away the low release throw. So it was a little bit of a rushed throw, but
Finland's Otso leading the Dominican Republic's Relámpagos 6-5 here in the first half at the World Ultimate Club Championships. Otso from Finland leading Relámpagos from the Dominican Republic 6-5 here in the first half. Pool B action from the Lebanon Sports Complex here outside Cincinnati, Ohio. Otso getting this game back on serve after a few breaks going back and forth between these teams in this first half.
thank you.
Otso 2 of 5 on break opportunities and Relámpagos 2 of 6 on break opportunities as we see the Otso D-line pulling the disc and Stern working for the Relámpagos offense.
A couple of new faces here for the Relámpagos offensive line, giving other opportunities to for players to get some reps while also probably preserving some legs. This is a long tournament after all. This is the first day of the World Ultimate Club Championships. We've got a whole week of Ultimate in front of us. Teams have to be paying a lot of attention to that as they determine their subbing.
And this is the time when some of the top contenders who have that depth and have the luxury of being able to roll their lines need to rely on it so that the stars and stronger contributors are available later in the week as a deep shot goes up here for the Relámpagos offense. Great job swinging the disc laterally to open up that deep shot. And Romer Brito, a 26-year-old civil engineer living in New York, completes the hold for the Relámpagos offense.
And after a sloppy offensive point for the Relámpagos, just the point before with multiple turnovers and they got broken, what a nice feeling as a Relámpagos player to see your teammates complete an offensive hold like that. Just a couple of passes and a really nice deep shot from Shu. That's a great hold, and that's exactly what you need. 6s right now. The next couple of points will be really interesting as these two teams really battle it out and learn a little bit about each other, learn their matchups, figure out what's working, figure out what's not working, and then adjust.
Well, games in Pool play here are played to 15, so we will see halftime coming when the first team reaches 8 goals. We are on serve here. As the Otso offense gets back out on the field. Yuntu comes out of the isolation.
And Nini can't tell if there was contact made with his defender or if he simply slipped on that ground. I will say the ground is pretty slippery out there. It's humid. It's kind of wet grass. I've seen a lot of players slip and slide out there. Disc back in.
Nini shoots deep, hoping to find Tuukko Vananen, but that one's going to sail out the back. And the Relámpagos defense doing a nice job applying pressure, trapping the thrower on their desired trap sideline.
And one simple thing that they did right there is they came down with a backhand force. If I'm not mistaken, it looks like Otso was trying to run a play on the forehand side, which was just, you know, when the defense is giving you something different, sometimes you have to adjust. As we see Relámpagos here, their defensive unit on offense, moving the disc.
And Relámpagos throwing blades over the poaches and then throwing into a poach as Tommy Sandberg is going to shoot into the end zone, but that's just out of the reach of Erkka Nini. A golden opportunity missed. Sometimes patience can be the difference in converting some breaks and converting holds for your offense. And a low, deep shot is blocked. We've seen the Otso unit throwing a lot of lane poaches immediately after turnovers, trying to confuse or disguise their looks for the Relámpagos handlers as the Otso offensive line finally converts the hold after a few more turnovers than I'm sure they would have liked, Gina.
Absolutely, and I think it's really interesting, though. Otso's O-line actually got blocks. So a lot of times you'll see teams that have O-lines, yes, I'd say they can play defense, but probably they're on the O-line for their offensive capabilities. But if you turn the disc over, you do have to play defense. And yes, pressure can sometimes create turnovers, but the best kind of pressure is, are just plain blocks. And the Otso O-line there got 2 blocks, and that's what allowed them to have that hold that point. That's very impressive for an O-line.
Some intelligent poaching.
Some intelligent poaching, and also just a willingness to make plays. The huge bid there in the middle of the field gave the disc back. Unfortunately, the player turned it over, looking to the end zone a little too quickly. But otherwise, very smart defenders on this Otso O-line. I wouldn't mind having some of those players on my D-line if they're getting blocks like that.
So the Otso squad leading 7-6 on serve with a chance to break going into halftime. It's interesting, we're not noticing many or any offensive studs crossing over here for this break chance. That's something we've seen teams employ previously. Good patience here from the Relámpagos offense. That's Kevin Johnson, another one of the American pickups, resetting to Brenner. Anderson underneath, fakes the hammer as he's wont to do. A nice break throw to Johnson. Johnson resets to Stern. And Stern thought Anderson was going to be taking his cut out to that sideline. Some miscommunication there.
And Anderson's defender actually was really staying deep of him for that point. Anderson is quite a tall player, probably a really great deep target if you are his teammate. Not surprising that Otso's defender was trying to keep him coming to the disc.
So Captain Jarno Zewo will bring the disc in on his own goal line, but Joe Smash Anderson with the phenomenal layout block. And completes the bookends, skying for the hammer grab. An anxiety-inducing O-line hold for the Relámpagos offense.
Wow. We just saw that block, and now we'll see Shu run up, pick up the disc. The defense is in confusion. You'll see he'll just pop that hammer, that over-the-top throw, looking for Anderson. And Anderson certainly has a couple of inches on his defender, but he also positions himself well. So we see this block from another angle. Positions himself well and goes up strong to get that hold for the Relámpagos offense.
And, you know, obviously the Otso defender had a chance to make a play there, but when you've got someone, as you were mentioning, of Anderson's size and experience, who knows how to use his body well, that shot becomes much more than the 50-50 shot it may look like on first glance. It becomes a much higher percentage look. There.
Looks like there is an offsides call here, but it's sevens. The next point here will determine the half.
So offsides on the pull there. Relámpagos is going to have a chance to pull once again. The first offsides is a warning. And once the next offsides infraction occurs, yardage penalties begin to be assessed. So the Otso O-line out there with a chance to hold, keep this game on serve going into halftime. Vananen resets to Vataranta. Vataranta shooting deep. Elonhaimo toes the back line. And an easy hold there for the Otso offensive unit. A seesawing back and forth first half, China, but Otso able to hold things on serve, 8-7 going into the half.
Really nice set play there by Otso. They ran an isolation set on the forehand side, and this deep shot actually was set up really nicely by Koistinen by cutting underneath, making his defender cover him on the underneath space so that then he could attack the deep space and receive that pass.
So Otso 2 for 7 on breaks in the first half. Relámpagos 2 for 8. We're all on serve here, 8-7. Otso with the lead as we get another look at some of the first half highlights. Things started with a bang for Relámpagos. That first throw turnover giving them an easy break opportunity, but Otso's deep game has been on fire this first half.
Absolutely. Otso has been unstoppable in that deep space, not just with their throws, but they're setting them up really nicely. Their cutters are setting them up really nicely. Meanwhile, Relámpagos is a lot more steady, grinding kind of offense. So they're really attacking the underneath space and moving the disc laterally to advance the Frisbee down the field.
And let's be honest, Relámpagos has simply just made a couple of plays. Far less system-driven than this Otso squad. They haven't been afraid to pull the trigger on riskier shots. And Otso leads 8-7 at half. Second half action coming up after the break.
There is a place where we are us at our best.
A place where everyone is welcome.
Regardless of age, shape, skin color, or anything else that tries to box people in.
A place where we defy the odds.
And even defy gravity.
A place that knows grit, knows grace, knows bright lights, and knows empty bleachers.
A place where we remember to laugh,
Where we learn to trust.
And eventually, even learn to fly.
a place where character, community, and competition.
Are all as balanced as a disc in flight.
That place isn't in a stadium or on a field.
That place is in the spirit of our players.
Because we don't just play ultimate, we live ultimate.
Catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.
No kid should have an overuse injury. Limit young ones to one sport per season, save sport specialization for later, and cross-train with your kids. Parents and kids will both benefit.
Welcome back to the Lebanon Sports Complex, where Otso from Finland leads Relámpagos from the Dominican Republic 8-7. We're here at halftime. Chena, we saw the Relámpagos squad employ a number of different offensive looks, a number of different offensive personnel. What are you expecting to see out of their offensive squad in the second half, and what are they going to need to do to win this game?
So Relámpagos has really been, using I'd say 7 or 8 people on their offensive side to move the disc laterally and to gain small yards. As the game progresses, they're going to have to demonstrate a lot of mental toughness, a lot of mental fortitude as it starts to get hotter, as it starts to get sunnier, and as the defense, as the Otso pressure mounts and sort of starts to adjust to some of their small ball game.
We saw the Relámpagos offense unafraid to uncork some hammers, some unconventional looks that really relied on their athletes to simply make plays. They weren't necessarily part of a systematic approach.
Absolutely. I think we saw 4 or 5 hammers that half. I'd like to see, well, I guess if it's working for them, sure, I'm fine with it. Yeah, do what's working. But I think it'd be interesting to see how many more hammers happen this second half.
And the Otso offense has had tremendous success isolating some of its deep threats. Erka Nini, Yoko Yuntu. We'll be interested to see how much they can get open in this second half if Relámpagos is going to start to key in on them.
Absolutely.
The Relámpagos O-line centers to Michael Brenner, currently playing with the club team based out of New York, the Pride of New York, abbreviated as Pony. And some nice swinging, gaining yardage here. Shu on the far sideline. An outside in backhand to Anderson. And as Joe Schmash Anderson would say, it's Liddy once again. He skies the pile. and a relatively easy hold for the Relámpagos offense. There was some traffic there on the goal-scoring grab, but Shu knew what he was looking at when he released that disc.
Toner, can you tell me how many assists does Shu now have? It feels like every single time he gets an underneath pass, he then is attacking the end zone with his throws. And his favorite target, of course, is Anderson in the end zone. A tall frame, experienced player who's been able to make some plays in the air and simply out-position his defenders.
Well, that's 4 assists now for Scott Shu. Another one of the great American pickups for this Relámpagos squad.
That's 50% of the points. That's very impressive.
Shu's a 25-year-old pharmaceutical consultant. One of the highlights of his young career so far is leading his college team, Rutgers, to the Collegiate National Championships for the first time in program history. So he's got some great leadership experience under his belt as well. The Otso offense getting started once again with Jaakko Juntu. Koistinen. Back to Juntu, who shoots deep. He's got Erkka Niini. And that disc goes off Erkka Niini's fingertips. He was trying to slide and stay in that back corner.
A little bit awkward there. It was almost like in between a full layout and being able to sort of just run it out. I think sometimes those are the most challenging catches because you can't decide, your body can't decide how to move in that space. And I think the sliding move there created that turnover.
And Sheena, this is the World Championships, but one of the most fundamental things in Ultimate is the challenge of same third hucks and same third throws. They're so difficult to read when you've got such a narrow window. The margin for error is so small.
Absolutely. That was a same third huck, which really just means that the disc is coming around your shoulder almost directly behind you if you're receiving the disc. Relámpagos here on offense looks like there is a travel call on that far side. The disc is back in play.
Relámpagos with their first chance to break here of the second half. Josue Soto anchoring this D-line offense here after the turnover. He's a 26-year-old industrial engineer living in Santo Domingo as the deep shot goes up to Campanella. Well defended there by Toku Vananen.
Again, the Otso offensive unit not just creating pressure, but actually getting blocks to get the disc back and keep their O-line possession alive.
Koistinen in his own end zone. Finds Juntu underneath. Juntu uncorks deep to Niini once again, but this throw is trailing away from the receiver. Easy block there for Relámpagos and a nice crossfield hammer to get the D-line offense started. Josue Soto resets to Ayadi. Ayadi finds Campanella. Erkka Niini earning the disc back once again, and we can't say enough about the O-line defense here from Otso.
It's truly inspiring to see an offensive unit get the disc back. Otso players on the sideline must be so proud of this O-line right now. And of course, commentators curse. We were just saying how incredibly impressed we are with Niini. An incredible receiver. He's getting blocks as well. And unfortunately, just a quick drop there.
And unfortunately, the Otso defender slips on the goal line. I believe he may be calling a foul, saying that Campanella did a swim move on him, an arm bar to get separation.
Something that's really special about the sport of Ultimate Frisbee is that each player is responsible for knowing the rules, and essentially, like, each person is a referee. They are discussing when plays occur, and so you'll see these two players, see a replay of that play actually, but then these two players are having a discussion as to what they think happened. And looks like the game advisor has stepped in to provide a perspective. Hard to tell from here who chose to go to the game advisor, if they're simply asking for perspective or asking for rules clarification.
And that whistle is going to signal to the players that the discussion needs to end. There needs to be a resolution. It looks like this will end up as a contested foul.
As the game advisor, again, advises that the play continues, send it back, let's consider it a contest, let's get the game moving.
Stall count rising. Nice reset off the line. Ayadi. Around. And a bullet of an inside shot from Nicholas Alexander into the end zone. And the Relámpagos D-line breaks to give that squad the lead. They now are on top of Otso 9-8 here early in the second half.
So we see this really nice around flick, and as a left-handed thrower, Ayadi really opens up his offense. We see that bullet once again to Juan Viscoso. And I really actually like seeing Viscoso getting the score there, because he was working really hard as a cutter and was really working every other, it felt, on that defensive O line. Really nice to see him get the point.
Joe Anderson getting set to pull here for Relámpagos.
Similar line here for the Otso offensive set. It was a bit of a long point, so we are seeing number 32, Yarnos Zewo, come over to the O-line, but otherwise very similar O-line. So deep shot goes up.
Vataranta shoots for Yuntu. And that disc is going to trail out of bounds. A phenomenal greatest attempt by Yuntu. He's just got athleticism oozing out of his skin.
Yeah, great matchup opportunity there. Anderson taking that matchup, able to pressure a really small window, which creates that turnover. We do hope Yuntu is okay. He is holding his hand there, it looks like, on that greatest attempt.
That would be a huge blow for the Otso offensive unit if he's not able to contribute for the rest of this game. Hopefully just a minor sprain there. It does look like it's his non-throwing hand. But Joe Anderson is going to bring this disc in on his own goal line. Relámpagos with another break opportunity.
Anderson faking the hammer, and actually surprisingly effective because of how many times the Relámpagos offense has thrown a hammer. Back to Ayadi, who's going to unleash a massive backhand looking for Shu.
Shu's there, makes the play over Vataranta. And he continues to Jordan Taylor into the end zone. That's Scott Shu's 5th assist of this game.
And the second break for this Relámpagos, defensive unit. They are pumped up. As you'll see, Alex Shu, not the tallest player out there, but able to read that really well, use his body, box out his defender, settle, and find Taylor. And you'll see what's really nice about Taylor's cut there is that he's decisive. He doesn't stutter step either direction. He simply makes one decision and gets open in the end zone.
Well, the Relámpagos D-line on a roll here. They lead Otso 10-8 here in the second half of Pool B action from the World Ultimate and Club Championships. Stay with us. More coming up after the break.
If you want to be a high performer, eat like one. Start with a balanced diet and drink plenty of water. Good nutrition is one of the best ways to boost.
Welcome back to the Lebanon Sports Complex. Relámpagos from the Dominican Republic leads Otso 10-8. And the Otso offensive line struggling here in the early stages of the second half. The Relámpagos squad now on the doorstep of their third consecutive break. And Joe Anderson completes that into the end zone for Ryan Brown.
Looked like to me that Otso had put out their defensive unit on offense, trying to give their offensive unit a break. Not just physically, but also a mental break. And unfortunately, with a quick turnover like that, it doesn't have the desired outcome of giving some breathing room to that O-line. However, it does look like Otso is likely taking a timeout. I actually really like that timeout. I wonder if it should have come a point sooner. When your O-line, your offensive unit, gets broken twice in a row, and then all of a sudden you're maybe putting your defensive unit out on offense, it's going to change your subbing in a way that has pretty big implications for the rest of the game. And it has an impact. As a commentator, I don't know what their strategy is, right? I don't know every single one of their players nearly as well as the coach knows their players and knows their systems. But it starts to throw a wrench into things when you have multiple breaks in a row in terms of your subbing strategy.
And look at the contrast between these two huddles in this moment. Otso struggling to regain its confidence, its composure, and Relámpagos just enjoying every moment of this second half surge.
And looks like as we see Otso taking the line, it looks like it's their standard O-line. Juntu still holding that arm gingerly as we see the usual suspects out on that O-line. And as an Otso player, it's not time to panic. It's the first game. It's pool play. Confidence in your O-line is incredibly important throughout the whole stretch of this tournament.
Well, you mentioned that this is their first game of the tournament. Looking ahead for Otso, they're going to face the Americans from Texas double wide at 3 p.m. this afternoon. Then tomorrow morning when they wake up, they'll face Pelt from Ireland at 11 a.m. and a matchup with the UK Gents Chevron Action Flash tomorrow at 3 p.m. The elder statesman Ilkka Varanta guiding the offense here for Otso. Vananen was unmarked there. Great to see Juntu back out on the field. Again, that injury appeared to be to his non-throwing wrist. Tommy Sandberg resetting.
Relámpagos doing a really nice job of taking away an entire half of the field with their body. The person that's marking the thrower is really stopping this Otso offense from moving the disc laterally, and the Otso players are struggling. They've been in the same third of the field this entire possession.
Varanta, the release valve as the stall count rises. A nice break shot to Juntu, but Juntu can't haul it in, and you can't help but wonder if the injured wrist impaired that clap catch attempt. A deep shot goes up. Jordan Taylor is there. And that's 4 straight breaks for the Relámpagos D-line.
Great shot from Ayadi there. Again, that lefty backhand puts a different kind of edge and allows that disc to float, giving Taylor the opportunity to get up. And he does a nice job of holding his position. He's got Juntu, which, his defender, I'd say, probably has a couple inches on him, but does a really nice job of holding his space, holding his own, going up strong, and bringing down the 4th break in a row for his team. We'll get another opportunity to see that drop there by Juntu. Just unfortunate. The first around throw that we'd seen from the Otso offense. And here's the big deep shot to Taylor. Goes up strong, holds his positioning. Excuse me, I misspoke. I think it was Nini there on the defensive pressure on Taylor.
Well, Jordan Taylor making his mark on this Relámpagos defensive unit. He now has 3 goals and 1 assist. a major contributor for the D-line. Played at the University of New Hampshire. Also a U20 Worlds veteran, and another turnover here from the Otso offensive unit.
Unfortunate miscue in the handler set there, just a little bit behind the intended receiver, and the defense capitalizes on it. And what I like there from Relámpagos is they don't just allow that disc to hit the ground, they actually go and catch the disc to ensure that it is a turnover. In those scenarios, sometimes there might be another offender behind you. You might not know if it actually is going to be a turnover, and you need to make sure that your team gets possession of the disc.
What's that old ultimate adage? Catch your blocks?
Yes, catch your blocks, exactly. And that's really fun to see. And here we have Relámpagos on the doorstep of a fifth break in a row, potential fifth break in a row, excuse me.
So Relámpagos has an exciting schedule ahead as well. Today they will face Chevron Action Flash at 5 p.m. Should be a great matchup. Tomorrow they'll face Double Wide at 1 p.m. and then they've got the Irish group Pelt. A number of American pickups on that squad as well. A number of Pittsburgh and Sabanur alums fresh off their run to the finals at the USA Ultimate College Championships in Milwaukee just a few weeks ago. That first poll will go up at 5 p.m. tomorrow evening.
Back into play here.
And that high swing is going to go off Brenner's fingertips. Not sure that's what they drew up in the huddle, but a confidence-boosting opportunity here for the Otso O-line.
It is worth noting that there is a little bit more of a breeze on the field. If you have an opportunity to see the flags in the background of this shot, or the flags of the nations in the far end zone, if we get a chance to see that shot, the wind is picking up. I imagine that forehand popped in a way that the receiver was not intending it to.
Yeah, it's hard to tell precisely up here in the booth. It does feel like a slight crosswind, with the wind coming from that far sideline as we see a deep shot going up just out of the reach of Toku Vananen.
And a little slow to get up, but it looks like he is okay.
And Otso's deep game is one of its strengths, but that just didn't look like the high percentage deep look we've seen from them earlier in this game. Hernandez. A nice blade over the top, finds Brown. Resets to Michael Brenner. He wasn't sure if he had help there. And that one's going to fall to the turf. A little miscommunication. The Otso O-line just grinding this point out, doing everything it can to find a hold. A lot of traditionally defensive personnel out there. And the continuation into the end zone for Toku Vananen, and a much-needed hold for the Otso offense.
We talked a little bit about Otso's O-line having fantastic D pressure, and they were able to get a number of blocks. But as the game progresses, you don't want your O-line out there getting blocks. You want them out there holding. So this is an excellent opportunity for Otso to get their D-line out there, create some pressure, try to get the Relámpagos team now to change their subbing, to move people around, to have to adjust. And we said at halftime, we saw Otso having a lot of success with that deep game. And what we've seen so far in the second half, I think, is just a little bit, not quite there in terms of execution. The cutters are still setting up the cuts. They're still gaining separation. The throws are not exactly where they need to be. And you have to be precise with this Relámpagos defense out there.
So Roni Hotari getting set to pull for the Otso D-line. He's a 27-year-old firefighter and paramedic from Espoo, where the team is based, but currently living in Helsinki, just a short drive away. All 12 years of his playing career have been with Otso, as we see him hustle down. Stern to Anderson. Anderson to Johnson. Two former Johnny Bravo teammates. As this disc is going to come back on a travel call, I believe, on Anderson's throw to Johnson.
And Otso there, not quite matched up person to person, but rather defenders taking spaces on the field, taking lanes on the field, working together, passing offenders off to each other. Looks like they've transitioned to a little bit of a tighter person-person matchup here. But I like the idea to create some confusion on this Relámpagos offensive line. Shu with the disc.
Shu's been an offensive force for this squad. Resets to Anderson. A nice inside shot to Stern. Stern with an outside in blade into the end zone, but that's going to be just too far for Romeo Brito.
And it's interesting, we talked about Anderson as a receiver, but actually right there, he does a nice job moving the mark and getting a 40-yard gainer, I think, for his team, just by moving the mark. And he's so long, he has so many different release points. Otso, however, creates that turnover with their pressure, and right here, their defensive O unit will have an opportunity to get a break back.
Hotari. Up to Vorio. Hotari once again. Uncorks a backhand. And Santeri Salo all alone, giving life to an Otso squad that was rather dejected just a few moments ago.
And just like that, Otso breaks back. And in a way that is pretty inspiring for the Otso team. They've just gotten broken 4 times in a row. And here you have the defensive offense. Sure, they have to move the ball a couple of times. They're patient. And then they have a cutter in the deep space that establishes under in order to attack deep and receives a really beautiful pass that we just saw right there. And now let's see if the Otso defense can create another opportunity for themselves on offense, make this Relámpagos team work on offense, make them turn it over, and see if they can have a long offensive point, make Relámpagos change their subbing.
We've got some of those same defensive personnel out there for Otso. We see Salo out there. We see Hotari on the pull for Otso. And the Relámpagos offense will get things started with some nice, easy handler centering. Shu makes a great catch under pressure. A nice inside shot to Brown. Shu finds Anderson. Anderson marked by Greenberg, finds Brown. Back to Shu. Anderson.
Price.
Price looking for a reset. Shu's there. A nice flick blade break. Brenner with an inside shot to Shu, who hops in. And the Relámpagos offense fights through the Otso pressure. They're up 13-10 in this pool play game to 15.
And Shu just seeming like every other player here for Relámpagos, distributing the disc, receiving the disc. Very impressive player. And he does a really nice job in an earlier grab of his, using his body to seal out his defender. And I feel like that point was just Shu's point, honestly.
Do you want to avoid overuse injuries? Cross-train. Get your exercise routine out of a routine and mix it up with a variety of activities. Your muscles, tendons, and joints will thank you later.
Welcome back to the Lebanon Sports Complex. Relámpagos leading Otso 13-10 here in the first pool play game for both of these squads in Pool B. Ilka Vataranta shooting deep.
And there's the Otso offense that we saw in the first half. We lost a little bit in the beginning of that second half, but it's great to see it back. Really nice throw there, isolating one cutter in the deep space. Vanen with a great catch. And he's not usually the receiver that they're looking for, which perhaps is nice. Take away some of those tunnel vision, I would say, for Yuntu and for Nini, excuse me. And all of a sudden put somebody else in that space, have somebody else create an isolation cut. The defender isn't prepared for it. Really nice execution of that pull play there from Otso. Really in the final stretch, we get an opportunity to see Otso's D-line here against Relámpagos. They haven't really been able to create many turnovers for this Relámpagos team. The O-line for Relámpagos is an incredibly smart O-line. They've been able to solve pressure from the Otso D-line. That pull sailing out of bounds. You'll see those flags in the back of the end zone, right there in the screen. Gives you an opportunity to see a little bit of a crosswind on the field, and the wind is picking up a little bit.
Michael Brenner bringing the disc up for the Relámpagos offensive unit. Marked by Kokkonen. Brown underneath. Shu with a huge gainer, and he's going to release a blade to the far corner of the end zone. Kevin Johnson gets underneath it, and this Relámpagos offense is clicking here in the second half, now up 14-11.
Really nice point there from Relámpagos. You'll notice that nobody held the disc for more than 3 or 4 seconds. That's a really good sign for an offense. If you're moving the ball, if you're finding your teammates that are open, and here we see Shu with a nice forehand. You'll notice how he leans back when he releases that disc and puts a lot of edge on it, which allows it to sit nicely, curve into a space where the defender cannot make any kind of play on the disc. It's a really simple hold for Relámpagos.
Game point here for Relámpagos. Otso has their backs up against the wall. Got to start with an offensive hold and go from there.
Yeah, in this situation, it's really, one step at a time. You can't try to score 3 points at one point. You can only score 1 point at a time.
Joe Anderson on the pull for Relámpagos. Centering to Ilka Vataranta, the elder statesman of this squad. And a deep shot here. Tommy Sandberg shoots deep. Nicholas Alexander, Johnny on the spot, elevates at the right moment to earn the block. And Relámpagos, 70 yards to go to win the game.
Really nice defense there from Relámpagos. You'll notice they had 3 defenders. That's throwing into triple coverage. I mean, yes, Nini is a very attractive target, but at a certain point you have to learn to fake that off. Find other people that are open on the field.
Campanella resets to Ayadi. Ayadi to Ramos. And that flick stayed on his finger a little longer than he wanted it to. Unfortunate execution error, and the Otso offense is still alive here.
We'll give go action here from Otso.
Koistinen. Vuorio. Sandberg shoots to the end zone, and once again, Tuukka Vannanen is open, and in the absence of Nini's deep threat, in the wake of Yuntu's injury,
stepping up in a really big way. And Sandberg there with a really nice forehand You'll see it right here on the replay around Anderson. Anderson is an impressive mark. He's a large human being, really stepping out. And Sandberg actually, you know, he had just thrown the previous turnover. What a nice feeling to this time get it right. He throws the assist here. Really nice space to finding his teammate.
Relámpagos leading Otso 14-12. I think the story of this game from a turning point perspective has to be that early second half run from the Relámpagos D-line. 5 consecutive breaks after the Otso offense had looked so smooth. Their deep game was clicking so soundly.
Yeah, and Relámpagos really, I think, demonstrated a lot of fearlessness when they went on that run, deciding that they were going to take control of the game with those breaks, with that pressure. And now they just need to finish it. So this is game point for Relámpagos. Game is to 15. They're up 14-12.
Great pressure by Jarno Zewo covering the pull. Kevin Johnson resets to Stern. Shoe underneath. He's going to uncork a backhand. He's got Brenner and Brown going deep. Well defended by Miko Nietosvara. Just an army of Finnish defenders stepping up to make plays here in the second half. Jakob Greenberg. He's a Swedish pickup for this tournament. Resets to Salo. Hotari with the stall count rising, uncorks an outside-in backhand. Scott Shue can't quite make the play. And it looks like the Otso receiver is upset with the foul call.
Panasalo, excuse me, with the reception. And this is a time that really helpful to have the WFDF hand signals. They can help communicate not just between players who perhaps don't speak the same language, but also with fans and teammates and commentators like ourselves. It's hard to tell actually what is happening. It appears that the disc will return to the thrower, so Otso still has possession.
Gina, we just got to look at that one. What were your thoughts? Foul? No foul?
I was actually not looking at the replay machine. I'm so sorry. Do you have an opinion about that one?
Hard to tell at full speed. I can see a case for an arm bar, but so much of that contact. As we get another look here, Shue closing in on Panasalo. And there's just a small push on Shue's back shoulder. I can see Shue's argument there. Did that make or break the ability to make the play? It looked minor, but by the letter of the law.
Absolutely, the rules are the rules. And in that scenario, if the hand of the offender had stayed put and stayed within his body space, as opposed to creating motion away from his body and pushing Shue, I think that would be a different conversation, maybe.
Hotari finding Greenberg. Back to Hotari. Hotari shoots deep once again. Kevin Johnson is there for Relámpagos to body out and earn the block. You see the frustration from Nietosvara, who had earned a block earlier.
Really nice positioning there from Johnson. You know, I keep saying this again and again about Relámpagos, but to me it seems like they are a little bit of the shorter team. This Finnish team really has some height, and in that scenario, he really was a little bit shorter than the person he was defending.
Some deliberate lane poaches here from the Otso D-line, and an unfortunate drop there from Brown. And Otso's D-line still alive. Hotari resets to Greenberg. Around to Zevo. A veteran call there, you might say. Multiple turnover point. This D-line needs to convert to stay alive. Otso trailing Relámpagos 14-12 here in our game to 15.
Toner, do you know very much here about the implication of time? How much more time do we have left?
So I think games would be going to need to double check the WFDF championship timing regulations.
I believe it is 80 minutes, but I'm not sure if it's 80 minutes till soft cap or to hard cap. And just a heads up that it seems like the clock that we have on the screen might be a little bit off in comparison to the game advisors who you'll see on your screen. Just walked off the screen. Needless to say, it's, you know, we're really reaching the end of this game.
So timeouts during points. 1 minute and 30 seconds allotted for those. These rounds are typically capped at 100 minutes, so not quite 2 hours. And the Otso defensive unit, led by Captain Jarno Sevo, has to score here to keep this game going.
It's a must-score situation for Otso. They need to get their D-line back out on the field to get the opportunity to get a win in this first game of pool play for them.
Pansalo up the line to Sevo.
Beautiful shot there for the upline throw. Sits nicely.
An inside shot to Salo as the stall count was rising. Panasalo into the end zone for Greenberg. Otso's not done yet.
Absolutely. Patient offense there from the defensive unit. You know, in the past, I think we'd seen some drops. We've seen some miscommunication. We'd seen some throwaways. But at this point, really calm and collected, finding open players. Yes, there was one time where the stall count was rising and a risky throw, perhaps across the middle. However, it was a great shot, finding an open player. And here we just see players working together, not holding the disc very long, and ultimately earning their team a break.
Well, he wasn't involved in the final score here, but I've got to say credit to converting that break goes to Jarno Sevo. He's the captain of the team. He called the timeout earlier in the point after multiple turnovers, and as the stall count was rising, he did break the mark with that inside shot all the way across the field, changing the point of attack, opening things up for the Otso D-line. And Otso still alive. Their O-line struggling here in the early stages of the second half, but their D-line has been battling back, bringing them back into this game. And at a certain point, you've got to think that this Relámpagos offense is starting to feel a little pressure. They've had game point opportunities multiple times now, haven't been able to convert. There are a number of players on this squad who aren't traditional Relámpagos players, are working to integrate into the system. Will those challenges be too much to overcome in these final points, China?
Good question. I mean, I think what I really like that Relámpagos did just then is that they got broken twice and they took a timeout. It's an opportunity for the offensive unit to take a breath, to recenter themselves, to come out strong. And really all they need here is a hold to finish this game. Let's see if they can put a great offensive point together.
Otso needs to break here to keep this game alive. An update from the sideline contributor Jaakko Juntu, who has 4 assists, suffered an injury earlier in the game, and he looks like he will not be playing. Not on the line for this point, and he won't be there if we're able to force double game. Brenner, a nice shot to Anderson, marked by the similarly large frame Nini. A great matchup there. Brenner marked by Zevo. Resets to Stern. Brown gains huge yardage there underneath. Back to Stern. Brenner slashes across the front of the stack, now in the red zone. Shoe the release valve, high release backhand to Michael Brenner, and he's alone in the end zone, beating his mark to that front corner. And Relámpagos staves off the Otso comeback attempt to win their first game here in Pool B. As we get another look here, great handler movement, aggressiveness, chemistry between Zhu and Brenner, and that's going to need to develop for Relámpagos to continue on and venture past pool play into the power pools. Michael Brenner attacking that space at the front of the end zone. And Gina, I think we mentioned it earlier, the turning point of this game was that run by the Relámpagos defense coming out of the second half.
Absolutely. Relámpagos showing a lot of fearlessness with that run, putting a lot of pressure on Otso. What they did is that they identified what Otso was trying to do, which was attacking the deep space, trying to make those windows smaller and smaller and smaller. And they were, successfully able to do so during that run.
Otso mounts a comeback but can't quite overcome the second half run from Relámpagos. That's all from Pool B here in the 11 o'clock round. Relámpagos 15, Otso 13. Stay tuned to the WIFDIF YouTube channel for much more live action here at the Lebanon Sports Complex.